all students in? Horace Hill.
Hi, Sanjay. We're still waiting for a few to arrive.
Okay. Specialized school number 4. Would you please check your camera? Your camera is not sharp enough as it was before. Okay, now it is fine. Thank you. So you would be refocusing on each speaker then. Hello Natalia, can I have all the students in now? Taras Gymnasium. Can you hear me? If you click on the video screen, you get all the controls flashing my image. You will see the microphone button there to unmute and then speak.
Okay, I'm here, Sanjay, and all my students are in the classroom.
Thank you, Maria. We
You're
are
welcome.
about to start waiting for the Taras Gymnasium to log in, to join in now. I think they are facing some problem with speakers. Could you
Mm-hmm.
please mute the microphone, Maria, and you will see that you will be able to hear better with muted microphones. Thank you. Hello, Natalia. We are getting late now. Would you now let us start the video conference? Natalia, can you hear me at Taras Gymnasium? Can you hear me? By this time, we should have started. Can you all hear me at Taras Gymnasium? Hello, Natalia. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Should we start now? Because this is already 10 minutes over and above our scheduled start time.
Let's start. The speakers don't work, we will hear you.
Fine. Thank you very much, Natalia. Just mute your microphone then. Thank you. Specialized school number 4. Can I also see your image? Ah, here you go. Mr. Andrew, is it all okay to start?
Yes, we're ready to start, thank you.
Fine. Thank you very much. Thank you all, and I shouldn't be in between your dialogue anymore now. It is already the time over and about 10 minutes that we should have started. I would suggest you all to mute your microphone whenever you are not speaking. Speak slower than you normally do, but louder. And also, if you wish for a repeat at any point of time, please do not hesitate to ask. This would be rather appreciated. And don't forget, I would be there right behind the scenes over Skype with your teachers to support in case of any technical glitches you face. Thank you once again, and I wish you good luck for today's video conference. Enjoy your conference today. Thank you.
Hi all, good morning or good evening. I am your facilitator for today and my name is Sumaya. If you can hear me well and if you can see me, please give me thumbs up. Excellent, excellent. That's a good beginning. Okay then. Today we're going to begin our video conference and it's going to be under the theme storytelling. And it's a very delightful theme that I really like. So before we begin, let's talk about a little bit about some simple instructions so we can have up to the limit of a video conference and that can be a beneficial, very beneficial. And we can, in the same time, that we can understand each other and at the end, we can have something that you're going to learn. So, remember, that I will ask some questions to guide you, but please don't think you are responding to me, but to your friend in the other school. Back and forth questions to each other. As many people as possible to speak, please. Get in the habit of asking a question back to the questionnaire. So, what about you? Listening is the focus and the heart of a great dialogue. Listening is not only with your ears, but with your whole body. So remember your body language and that you can always be seen. The response questions. Response question means that you have an active listening. That means that you are listening to the other side. So you have to listen carefully to everything your colleague is talking so you can after that have a very beneficial response question. When speaking, please remember to start with your name and finish with thank you. I and not we is a very important thing to speak. You have yourself and not your community. Remember, English is not our first language, so it is important to focus on speaking slowly and clearly. Okay, ready to begin? Okay, I'm going to begin. Thank you for the thumbs up. Okay, we're going to begin with our first topic that we're going to talk about, and that is I meet few students from each school, and I want them to share stories that particularly influenced or inspired them, motivate them. I don't want actual stories. I want something that you heard. I want something that you even read. And after that, you have to listen carefully to each other because after that, we're going to have our response questions. So be careful to the active listening. So let's begin with Horace Hall. Thank you.
Um, Hello, my name is Theo, and when I was very small, so 5, um, I heard a story, and it was about a boy who was herding shepherds, and he lied lots of times about a wolf, and then when the wolf was actually there, the people didn't believe him, and so they did not come to help him save the sheep. And from this I've learned that you should not lie when on purpose, because in the end it will be bad for you. Thank you.
If there is another one from Horace Hall, we can hear him, by the way. If you have another story, I want to hear few students from each school. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Felix, and I'd like to share a story. It's called The Monkey and the Glasses, and it's about a monkey. His eyesight's getting bad, and he tries on hundreds of pairs of glasses, but his eyesight never gets better. And the moral of the story is that you can't change who you are, and I think that's important, because if you do, it may think people that are close to you may start turning away because you're a bit weird. Thank you.
any students who want to share some of the stories, please step up.
Hello, my name is Christina and I'm a student of Borislav State Gymnasium, And I would like to say that first of all, culture means to me stories about the past of my family. My family believes that stories play the major role in human experience and people develop language. Sometimes I sit near the fireplace and listen to my grandma's stories about the past. For example, she said that her parents and grandparents were peasants and lived in the village in the Carpathian Mountains. My grandpa told me a lot about the destiny of his great grandmother. Her name was Jadwiga Senyuk, and she was a member of a very famous and powerful Polish family called Rzewski. Her father was a governor, and in spite of the fact that she was from a noble family, she fell in love with ordinary Ukrainian writer, and her family was extremely against their marriage, but she didn't pay attention to that. She just left behind all her honor, her money, her previous life, just for being with her love. And she became happy. Her destiny proves that you have to listen not only to your mind, but to your heart, and that our emotions and feelings are much more expensive than money or honor. And there are a lot of members of my family to talk about. For example, the destiny of my great grandfather, called Volodymyr Yurinets, a famous Ukrainian philosopher and writer, whose teacher was Sigmund Freud. And I would like to show you the embroidered ruchnik, of which passed to me from my grandmother. And this thing is really important for my family and for our history. And I would like to say that all these stories help me to rediscover the history of my own family. It destroys barriers between my past and my present, and of course, it is shaping my life. That's all. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victoria and I'm from Tarashenko Gymnasium. And I want to recommend you to read a story about Faithful Friend. It is a story about the dog and its master. Unfortunately, they lived poor, and after master died, dog pass to the master to the cemetery food, and I think that it is the story teach us how animals can be best friends for people and how they love us, and we must respect them and take care after them. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victoria, and I'd like to say some words about Ukrainian fairy tales. First of all, Ukrainian fairy tales is a whole chapter of Ukrainian history, and the characters of Ukrainian fairy tales with soft irony overcome the evil, well, teaching weak people a lesson. Also, Ukrainian fairy tales teach children how to not give up in the face of difficulties, be brave and kind. And the Ukrainian fairy tales tell the kids about respect for parents and elderly. For example, one of fairy tales that is popular among all the Ukrainians is a fairy tale about Kirilo Kozhendyaka. It's a fairy tale about a very strong man, and there is tale about that he lived in Kiev Rus, and he then a big dragon, usually Ukrainians called it as a big snake, attacked the Kiev Rus, and he was a person who was protecting the Kiev Rus and people from this scary monster, and it's a very interesting fairy tale, and I recommend you to read it. Thank you.
Natalia, can you please mute your microphone? Thank you. Let's see from specialized school.
Hello to everybody. We are from Ukraine, Poltava region, Horishny Plavny, specialized school number 4 with extensive English learning. My name is Maria, and I want to tell you I want to tell you a story how important is never give up and still keep going. I think you know what is FLEX. It is an exchange program between the United States and different countries in Europe and even Asia. And I heard about this program when I was about 10 years old. Now I'm almost 17, and I thought that it is very hard to take part in this program. I thought that it is very hard to take part in this program because of different essays, interviewer and so on. But some years later, when I was 14, I tried myself in this program, and I passed 3 rounds of this program. But I had a great experience, and it pushed me to improve my English knowledge and communicative skills. Another story, according to the motto "Never Give Up," is a story of mothers of disabled children. I think in our country there are different organizations to help the children, but their number is not very big. The same situation is in our town. We have one center for such children, and I were there 2 weeks ago with my friend. We went there, and that it very hard work and teach these children, but their mothers do it. They teach them, they take care of them, if they and the government help them. So these women are very, very strong, and they have a motto. I think in any case, in any situation in your life, you follow this motto. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, I am Max. So, according to these stories, I think you can learn that that in every situation, no matter if it is easy or difficult, you can never give up. Thank you.
My name is Lia, school number 4 with extensive English learning. So I think that the wise man learned from mistakes of others, and the fool has to learn from his own. In my opinion, it is very important to to make conclusions from different stories which were heard by us from different people. These people could be relatives, native people, and even strangers with whom we meet from time to time. But the most important and even extremely necessary information we get from our parents. As for me, they helped me to choose an aim and to move for its achievement from day to day, in spite of all difficulties I get. You see, they have been to many different countries. They are New Zealand, Spain, Thailand, China, Greece, and others. When I was a child, I listened to their stories about foreign countries with great curiosity. And you see, these stories were about different lifestyles, cultures, and even different way of thinking. Maybe it's the reason of my ambition to live in Japan. It's a country of great technologies, high educated people, in which I supposed to make my second home and realize my ambitions and dreams. And I know that my parents are always ready to help me in realizing this hope. So because of this, I work really hard at learning foreign languages. You see, if you wanna to do something, just do it. There is an English proverb. If you want to learn the culture, listen to the stories. If you want to change the culture, change the stories. I think all of you will agree with me that storytelling plays an important part in our life and character. Remember this, that very little is needed to make a happy life. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victoria and I'm from Tarasichenko Gymnasium, and I agree with my friend from Poltava. This girl talked about flags, and I can say that 3 students from our class also took part in these competitions. A lot of students from our school take a part in these competitions, and 3 students go to the third round, and now we wait for results. Of course, this competition is a real chance to improve our English knowledge. It is a good it is experience how to show yourself, in a good way, how to present you to other people. It is important to do it because I think it will help us in our life, because it is a good knowledge, and as a result we will have a good phrase in worldwide and good impression. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nastya, and first of all, I'd like to say that country culture fully depends on the community culture. And today I'm talking about storytelling in my community. Many famous people have become a significant part of my community, as it is known because of these people. A few days ago, we've discussed this theme at our English lesson, and personally, I found out about one famous Ukrainian writer and translator, Vira Selyanska-Vok. She is from my hometown. She writes in German, Portuguese, and of course Ukrainian. And our English teacher has written Vira an email, and recently we've got an answer. It's an incredible feeling when you can communicate with a person you're delighted with for a long period of your life. And we are going to correspond with her, despite the fact Vera lives in Brazil, and she is almost 91 years old. She is even going to send us some of her books, which are very difficult to find in Ukraine. And I hope that it will be an unforgettable experience. So, as we know, storytelling makes us act. And the fact that we find the way to get in touch with Vera Vok is the best confirmation for this statement. Social medias helped us to do this, and this is always the good confirmation for that fact that social medias aren't the evil, they help to connect people. Thank you. Hello, I'm Vicky. I'm from Warsaw Gymnasium. You have a choice, live or just exist. You know about power of storytelling, which is passed from parents to their children. And I asked my grandmother about our family story, family story, and she said, I didn't know anything, and I asked her why, and she said, in my family there were 4 children, and my parents always was at work, and they didn't have time for this. And then I go to my mom and asked her, and she said, your great-grandmother was nurse in the war, and she helped soldiers in the war. And her answer inspired me to make my own story and tell these stories to my children in the future. Thank you.
My name is Lisa. Hello, my name is Lisa. It's not a secret that people are connected to each other. When we stay apart from each other, we start to feel discomfort. And this is natural because we need each other to learn from, to take care of, to love and support. Some time ago, I was offered to run for the position of the school president. This offer was very attractive, but I was not 100% sure if I had to make such a big step and how it could change in my life. Then I went to my teacher to hear her advice. It was so important for me at that moment. She told me her life story. At my age, to run for the position of the school president, but against her will. She did not want to win at all, but fortunately she became the school president. It happened because of the higher school students who all together agreed to vote for her because I wanted to go home very much during the voting process. Needless to say, she was very upset. However, one day the initiator of such unfair voting needed help from the current president. He was chasing her for a long time to sign the necessary papers. This is how she met her husband. She strongly rejected the president's position, but it gave her the beloved person, and they have been living happily together for the many years. They say that the best teachers teach from the heart, not from the book. I completely agree. This story motivated me to run for the position of the school president. Thanks to my teacher, I was able to pass the chasing presidential campaign decently from the beginnings to the end. I haven't become the school president, but who knows where it can take me in the future. Thanks.
big role in our family. My parents usually tell me stories when we are having dinner, and they choose right moment because the scientists of enemy university found that stories which were shared over the meal are more interesting and easier for understanding. Honestly, my favorite stories are about my parents' childhood and time when they were around 23 years old. It was a difficult time for Ukraine when they just married, so they decided to work in Poland and Germany. They worked really hard. So it teaches me to respect money and be thankful to my parents that I have everything that I need. Also, I know that my great grandfathers took part in World War II, but unfortunately they were killed in Berlin. Also, I know that my great grandparents were from Poland, but the law of the time made them to move to Ukraine. And I have learned that I must respect other nationalities. So we can see that storytelling has a huge effect on me and on my family. By the way, I want to tell a few words about Ukrainian traditional shirt that I'm wearing now. Hope you can see it. My great mother made this t-shirt, made this shirt when she was young, and she presented it to my mother. And my mother gave it to me. And I hope in far future I can do the same with my future daughter. Thank you for attention.
Thank you very much. I appreciate these stories that talk about culture, these stories that talk about how much you that influence you, whether it is fantasy, fiction, or non-fiction, or even your actual life. It's a very good story. Now, we are going to go now for that response question. According what you have heard from each other, okay, according what you heard from each other, I'm going to ask that to have the question and ask each other so we can understand each other better. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Theo, and I'll ask you, have any of you ever changed the way you look at the world because you've seen a television program or film or something like that? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Julia, and I'm a student of Taras Shevchenko Gymnasium. Do you hear me now? Yes? Okay, I'd like to answer this question. In fact, I didn't change my mind because of some television programs, but I changed my views because of reading books. And in fact, maybe some years ago I was a believer, but now I'm atheist. And I think that it's because of some books, because I was very impressed with them, and I was analyzing the life and the world so much, and then I changed my mind. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nastya, and I'd like to ask you, do you agree that storytelling is a vehicle of passing information? Thank you.
Yeah, and I think changed my life, but some films can cause emotion, sad or happy, something like that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victoria and I'm from Taras Shevchenko Gymnasium, and I like to answer the question about that storytelling is a way of exchanging information between people. So to my mind, I think it's a really great way of exchanging information because like we get to know some interesting facts about people, their lifestyle, even their countries, customs, traditions, and I think it's a great way to like make new friends, to understand people and like better, and um, it's and to get to know and to have some experience, and it's really important to develop ourselves, our minds, and um, to develop our peaceful relationships with people. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sam. I have a question. Do you think that as stories get older, they become less less important and less sort of present in the modern day, or do you think they retain their importance and their meaning? Thank you.
Hello. I would like to ask to answer that question. In my eyes, oh no, I don't agree with it that the stories through the time stories become more or less significant. Stories is always important because, but through the time when the stories become more old, much more old, they become more expansive, more important because it's really because we have to know what the world was in the past, and this information can give to us, and stories can give us this information. Thank you.
We can't hear you. Please unmute your microphone. Thank you.
We all know that technologies are developing very fast in our world. And do you think that with this development we are losing our face-to-face communication and even our culture? It's all. Thank you.
Student from specialized school, let's hear you now. Thank you very much.
About stories, about time and stories. There are different stories, and I think stories about moral are eternal. They can't death or pass with the time. There are different stories, and there are eternal stories that can't be unactual, I think. Thank you.
in order to answer the question about stories. And I think that stories never gets old, and if they when they become more through years, they become more important to our first of all to the citizens of the country, and maybe they teach us something, the moral values of our ancestors, and in general we get to know more about their life and wisdom. And I think that they will become even more important and more popular among people as students, pupils, and elderly people, and they through centuries they are even playing much bigger role in our life. Thank you.
Hello, my name is to answer the last question, I think that as the world becomes more and more mixed, as people in the world mix together, different races and people from different backgrounds, I think that stories are not necessarily lost, but stories are changed to suit the population of that place at that time, as it would really not make sense to not make sense to continue with the old stories, as they really do only sort of they only matter to one type of person that they were originally written for. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Polina, and I want to answer the question about technologies and our communication. I think that our modern technologies replace real communication with people, and it's too important to see emotions and feelings of person you are talked to, and we should communicate with each other face to face, and it's very important now, because people think that they are alone, but they surf internet, but not communicate with each other in real world. Thank you.
What is your favorite tale from your childhood? What is your favorite tale from your childhood? Shall I repeat?
Hello, my name is Mariana. I want to answer this question, but I don't remember all the fairy tales, so I can't choose one my favorite. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Sasha and I am from Tarashchenko Gymnasia. And my favorite fairy tale is The Magic Swan Geese. And it is a Russian fairy tale that collected by Alexander Afanasyev. It was written in 1949 and it have cartoon. So the story is about a couple that have a daughter and son. So they left daughter
leave a daughter in charge of her brother, and she lost him. So she goes to the forest, and she goes to a little house where live a witch, Grandma Yaga. So Yaga wants to eat this boy, but Masha helps him. And when she looking her brother, she helps many fairy tale characters. So the story teaches us how to help each other and how to obey parents. Thank you.
Hello, I would like to answer the questions about what is my favorite tales from the childhood. Actually, I read a lot, and I have a lot of my favorite books. But there are some children's writer who inspired me for a lot of good things. This writer is Salot Nistaiko. When I was sick, my grandma usually read me a lot of books of this writer, and my favorite is Пригоди в лісовій школі. This book is about kindness, it's about friendship, and about everything good. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Felix, as you probably heard earlier, and I like to answer the question from the stories from your childhood. And I have one that's stuck with me since I was about 4, and it's about so there's a centipede, and while all the other animals were storing up food for the winter, all the other insects storing up food for the winter, the centipede was greedy, and he ate all of his food supplies in the summer, and he had no food left for winter. And when it came to winter, he was frozen and he was hungry and he had no food. And so he went around asking all the other insects for somewhere to stay and food. And so he went up to a spider and asked the same question, and the spider said no. And he went around to 3 other insects, and at the end, an ant said yes. And so he stayed with the ant and helped it. And I think the moral of the story is you should always plan for what comes next, and you shouldn't rely on others to do you shouldn't rely on others to do the job for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate the questions and the response, and I appreciate the active listening. Thank you for your teachers who train you. Now, I'm going to talk about another topic, and that is, I'm going to ask 1 or 2 stories in more detail. These stories should be from your culture or faith, and I want these stories, when you're going to talk about them or you're going to tell them, I want you to share it with, talk from your heart. Make it dramatic, exciting, and I prefer to say it from your heart and not from a text. And after that, I want to know, you have to listen carefully for each story, because after that we're going to have a response and a reflection according to these stories. So let's begin.
Hello, my name is Sergey, and I want to tell you about the legend about King Danilo Galsky. Once upon a time, there lived a king whose name was Danilo. King was rich and had his own master that produced silver and gold coins. So only the master knew the real wealth of Danilo. The master became rich too. Master said to the king, and one day he says, "Gold is the main thing. No, master. Bread is the head of everything," said Danilo. "No, gold and silver," argued the master with king. They argued until the king went out of the shop, The next day, Danilo sees the inscription on the wall: "Bread is a marsh, bread is a marsh, and gold and silver is the swan." It was the time of Mongols' attacks to Ukraine, so one day the king Danilo Galitsky imprisoned the master in the same room where the gold was. Nobody had the right to release him. So Danilo went to war to defend the homeland, but forgot about the master at all. Nobody let him out. It took several months. Danilo returned home with his army. He got victory over the enemy. Suddenly, Danilo remembered about the master. Quickly, he jumped off over the horse and ran to the cashier, unlocked the door, and see. And there was a skeleton with on a pile of gold. And in the wall was remain. And the king of Danilo Galitsky read in the wall: "The bread is the head of all, and gold and silver is the swan." To my mind, this legend teaches people to care about their life, and gold isn't important in our world. We must be rich, spiritual, and this legend is the good example that silver and gold are not the main things. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Anne, and I'm from Gorishny Plavny. I'm in the 8th grade. Storytelling is the most powerful way to put ideas into the world today. When you hear a story, there are two things you can do. You can listen and you can hear. To hear means that you are truly understanding what the storyteller is saying. By truly hearing what they say, you are learning a lesson. By truly hearing, you are actually learning about that person. Often this will touch you in some way. You will be inspired, happy, or maybe sad. But you have heard what they intended you to hear. Storytelling offers new lessons and often stories about other people, places, or things. Storytelling is about connecting to other people to see what you see. Thank you.
Sophia.
Hello. Hello, my name is Hugo, and I would like to tell you a story which I've known for a very long time, called The Tortoise and the Hare. So, as we all know, a hare is a very fast animal, and a tortoise is a very slow one. So one day, the wise old tortoise, challenged the hare to a race. The hare accepted. They set off. And the hare literally ran, I think, about 3 times as fast as the tortoise. The hare eventually got so far that the tortoise was just a dot on the horizon. The hare stopped. He waited for probably about, well, he stopped. He thought, I might as well catch my breath. He fell asleep. By the time he had woken up, the tortoise was still a dot on the horizon, but rather than one behind him, it was one in front of him. The tortoise had overtaken him, and the tortoise won. This shows that in our modern society, we cannot be complacent. There's no room to be complacent when we are obviously better than others. Even if we are the best, we must keep driving forward and doing the best we can. We cannot allow our success to drag us down. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sophia, and I want to tell that we don't discuss storytelling in our country, in Ukraine, but I want to tell about storytelling in family. Stories are one of the most emotional, powerful currencies my family possess. I rarely communicated with my cousins, but my mom showed me our childhood photos and told about our common childhood. So it helped to heal our relationships, and as a result, I communicated more with them. I guess culture means the way of our life, part of the past and the present. My town and my family are small parts of all the above mentioned. In my family, there are customs and beliefs which passed from generation to generation. For example, every year we celebrate the beginning of a new year at a holy mass in a church. My family has a tradition to pass the musical skills. For example, my great-grandfather's brother on my mother's side played the mandolina, while my uncle played the guitar and the cello. Also, my grandfather on my father's side played the violin. Unfortunately, the mandolina and the cello were sold to other people, so my family doesn't have them now. But the piano which I inherited from my mother is standing now in my living room. Thanks to my mother, I can play the piano and guitar, but I also want to learn some skills of playing the violin. I really like this tradition, and I will pass it too. Stories are teaching us through the brilliant and inspiring examples. So I'm proud of my family and people I love. It shaped my character and all my life. Thank you.
Thank you very much for sharing these stories, especially for the ones who have told them from their heart. And thank you very much. Now, let's go to the response questions. According to the story that you heard, do you have any questions?
And I have a question. The previous topic was about the important stories in in our country, and I heard a lot about have a lot, and I would like to ask you about what there are a lot of other stories connected with your nation and with your culture. What other stories inspired you? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Zhenya. I'd like to tell you about woman that inspires me. Frida Kahlo was a Mexican painter and known for her self-portraits. At the age of 6, she got ill for polio. The disease damaged her right leg. Kahlo and her friend were traveling together on a bus when the bus collided with a street car. As a result of the collision, Kahlo was injured by a steel handrail which went into her hip and came out of the other side. She suffered several serious injuries as a result, including fractures in her spine and pelvis. The artist was not able to have children. After the accident, she began to paint to occupy herself during the 3 months immobilization. She liked to paint herself because she was often alone and she was the subject she knew the best. She married the famous painter Diego Rivera. She was a colorful woman. On the one hand, she loved drinking tequila and smoking, always want to be optimistic and bright. She became known for her love of traditional and colorful clothes. But on the other hand, we can see how her pain and suffering in her works. Frida died at the age of 47 and unfortunately she became popular shortly before his death. A story about this strong and beautiful woman teaches me never give up and love life. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lamia. I'm from Borislav State Gymnasium. I want to ask, how did you find out stories about your town or city? Thank you.
I would like to talk about a family, my great grandfather, who fought in the Second World War, and in 1944, I think it was a combined force of British and American troops were looking to cross the Rhine. So there was a very ambitious mission, and many members of the British Army were sent into a town at night to the town of Arnhem. Many people parachuted in, and my great grandfather, he was in a village just outside Arnhem. And basically what happened was, the idea was that the British tanks and troops and military officials, etc., would march up across the Rhine and would meet the soldiers in Arnhem and secure the city or town. But in reality, what happened is that they were cut off by German troops, and my great grandfather ended up having to swim back across the Rhine while being shot at by German soldiers. This story has taught me that bravery the bravery, one, bravery pays off. Because my grandfather could have very easily, my great-grandfather could have very easily stayed and fought and not taken that risk and jumped into the Rhine and swum across. If he hadn't taken that risk, I wouldn't be here today. I wouldn't be here today. The story has also taught me never to be too ambitious. Thank you.
And I ask for, we know country stories from books, newspapers, from museum, and I want to ask, do you know a story about your country's national heroes? Thank you.
I'm Sonia, specialized school number 4. I'd like to ask a question about the creation of our towns and cities. When my grandparents came to this place in 1960, began to build a city with another people, and they believed in their strong strengths, and I think that they are my heroes because they create a very beautiful city from nothing, and they are my inspiration. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Theo, and the person that inspires me the most is Winston Churchill, and he was the Prime Minister of Britain during World War II, and he was Prime Minister because the Prime Minister before him wasn't deemed strong enough to go through the war, and during the war he had to sort of set aside all his arguments, problems with the other members of the parliament, so the sort of people who were opposing him being Prime Minister, and they had to set aside their sort of differences and all try to help to win the war. And I respect him because he was sort of strong enough to put away his differences and just get on with the people he disliked. Thank you.
Name is Maria, specialized school number 4. What do you think? Problems? What do you think about why and for what fairy tales were created? Thank you.
In my opinion, fairy tales was created for teaching children what is good and what is bad, for teaching how to live, and for growing up a good person in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much for these questions, for these deep questions. Now, we're going to talk about something, our last topic, and we're going to talk about the questions. Now, about the stories. How did you hear about the stories? From whom did you hear about them? What they teach us, the stories? And is it a good idea to hear other people's stories? And if so, why?
get to know about the stories from different books and mainly from our great grandmothers in our family, our parents, also from our friends, and the school also plays a big role in it. And our teachers tries to teach us as more as possible and to tell us as more as they can. And also we get to know from about the stories of different people while discover their biographies. And I'd like to tell you about a person whose stories influenced me a lot, and about a person who inspires me in a good way. This person is Kurt Cobain. He's found the band called Nirvana, what actually means freedom from sufferings and the entire world. And I'd like to say about a few words about him, so why he inspires me. From his childhood, when he was 2, he was able to sing, and when he was 4, he he learned how to play the piano and created even some songs. And until he turned 7. When he turned 7, his parents divorced, and it was moment when when the dark line in his life started. And after that, he had a lot of moments that influenced him, like he become depressed, and however he kept going, and he created music, and he inspired people while and he's a person with a big heart. And he one of his famous quotes is that I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. And also he said that wanting to be someone else is a waste of the person who you are. And he influenced me a lot because he is literally a person who was surviving in this world, and sometimes he was he had a lot of bad moments in life. Unfortunately, he committed suicide, but it's not. But he did a lot of things for people in the society, and a lot of people knew him even now and inspired by him. So he was a very good person. Thank you.
Usually my parents tell me different stories, and also my grandparents. But when I was a child, my elderly neighbors told me different stories, and especially stories about World War II. And I'm really thankful to these people, because these people made my childhood a little bit interesting and more magical. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Felix. I'm going to ask the question of like why we should learn stories from different cultures, and I think it's important to do so because we learn how their lifestyle is, what they kind of believe in, and when we grow up, if we haven't heard these things, then we come into the world with a different view, and sometimes in some situations that can be quite bad, and it could offend some people. So I think it's good to learn other people's cultures, and so you know what they think, their views, and just generally how to explain or say stuff to them. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Mary, and I'm from Wrocław Gymnasium, and I want to tell you about how my grandmother put up the Jewish family in her house and saved their life. So firstly, they were in house, and at 12 o'clock night, they come and ask them to um, ask them to be lived, and they help them. So it's all for now. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Alex. I have learned that in all situations it is very important to find something positive from all the negative. It is also important to have an open mind and try new things, because it could lead to something great in the future. Every story, every story holds as an important lesson, and it is up to us to hear that lesson and learn from it.
Hello, my name is Vlada, and I want to answer a question. We get to know stories from our friends, parents, grandparents, and also we discuss stories in the lessons of English and in the lessons of world literature. And now I want to tell you about story that influenced me and that inspired me. This O. Henry's The Gift of the Magi is a very deep story about two young people who were in love but were very poor. And this story teaches us that the best gift is that comes from the bottom of the heart, but not the expensive, extravagant gift. And I read this story when I was young, but I didn't understand problems which is touched upon. But short time ago, I read it once more, and now I realize that it is really has a big sense. And this story um, touches upon many problems of our humanity and society, social, such as selflessness and generosity. So, thank you.
I have to say thank you all for such good responses. Now our conference is coming to the end, and before we end it, we have to listen to your reflection. You need the reflection of what you have learned from this video conference and what you're going to take with you with this video conference. I'm going to give you 1 minute to think about it, gather your thoughts, and I'm going to hear from one to two students from each school. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Julia, and I'm a student of Taras Shevchenko Gymnasium. I would like to much for this nice exchanging of different stories. It was interesting to hear the stories from you, stories about your grandparents, your parents, your ancestors, real stories and fiction stories. It's not very nice that your parents and grandparents are a role model for you. And it was very interesting that one girl even showed an embroidered ruchnik, a thing that is very important for her and her family. It was very interesting, thank you. And I'd like to say that this conference helped us to understand that stories are so important in our life. They teach us many good things, for example, bravery, patience, friendship, love, and empathy. And I just want to say that stories are good, nice, and they also develop our imagination and thinking skills. So thank you for this nice conference. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Victoria, and I agree with my friend Julia. And I I think that when we hear to your story, we know more, so we develop. It was really interesting to know your stories. It was interesting to have a dialogue with you, to communicate with you. Of course, it is our new experience, and I can say that it is really helpful for us. Thank you.
Hello, this is my first conference, and as I want to thank you for your stories, and to thank you for that experience that you give me. So thank you. Goodbye.
Specialized School number 4. We want to say you great thank you for this conference. We got a great experience communication in English, and we know a lot of new facts about traditions and different interesting stories about fairy tailing and different fairy tales at all. Also, we want to tell thank you to all of these schools, and we liked a boy from Britain, maybe his name is Phil. He was very, very emotionless, and we like him. Thank you very much. This conference was very useful for us.
Hi, my name is Nastya. And firstly, I'd like to mention one boy who previously has said that we have minds always open for stories. And I fully agree with him, and I think that this conference made each of us to have our minds always open for stories, not only to listen to them, but to tell them to other people and find out more about our community, different cultures, beliefs. And moreover, I hope that for everybody it will be an unforgettable experience. I am very grateful for everybody who has opened their mind and tell a story from their heart. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Felix, and as I say, it's really nice to listen to different stories, because normally around here we get told the same stories quite often. It's just nice to branch out and to hear different people's stories. And I think it was really cool, the one whose parents hid the Jew in the cellar. I think that's really cool. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Christina, and I would like to say thanks to the organizer. I really like to take part in this in this competition. It was my first experience in taking part in something like this. I learned a lot of new things. I heard a lot of new stories, and I realized that it's really I realized how important stories are, and I'm sure that I learned that it's important not only to listen but to teach someone new, something new, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Polina, and I'm from the school 4, and I want to say that so many people and so many stories through so many ages, and I want to say that during this conference I understood that we heard stories of school of books, and so we heard the stories from from our imagination, and I thanks a lot for this conference, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Yulia.
I am a student of Borislav State Zoo, and I can say that it was very interesting to take part in this conference, and it was my first experience. I'm very happy that I take part in this because I learn a lot from this. Thank you.
Thank you all, and this is going to be the end of this video conference, hoping that you can share your stories together through the team blogging. This is going to be a good idea to continue what you have begun. Now, all of you, please open your mics and let's say goodbye to each other.
Bye.